Hi everyone, have you ever wondered what the key components are to making yourself media savvy? And how do you get trained to look and sound sharp in front of the camera, or at a conference, or a presentation? Well, we have a very special guest in our Asset TV studios right now to tell us how to do all those things and then some. I want to welcome in Donatella Giacometti, President and Chief Communications Strategist of CEO Media Coach. She has experience in a range of industry sectors, including private equity, financial services, and technology, and more. It's certainly great to have her here, and we're going to start with the basics, and that is, when should executives consider communications coaching services? Donatella, hello.
Michelle, thank you for having me. So when should an executive consider coaching services? I would say consider a planning calendar so you know when your major events are coming up, because you want to be prepared for high stakes, high profile situations. Let me give you some examples like road shows, earnings calls, fireside chats, panel discussions. So all of those, if they're in your planning calendar, you're going to have enough time to anticipate and internalize your messages. Then beyond that, I would say the when is succession planning. A promotion is coming up. Maybe you've just had your 360 assessment. And as an executive, you always are striving for just that bit more responsibility. And a communications coach can help you with those situations.
What does it take to be camera ready?
Camera ready. As we know, cameras are ubiquitous. Recording devices are everywhere. As a star athlete recently said, you don't get ready, you stay ready. And I'm very much of that philosophy, so that when the time comes, and it could be very unexpected, a microphone shows up and there you are, you want to have at the very least your 60-second elevator pitch, which is really your story in a nutshell. So it has the beginning, middle, and end. What are your keywords? We like to call it a word bank, so that you're really ready with the vocabulary, the message, and you're prepared to deliver that in a way that is as confident as possible.
Well, what essential skills are valued in today's business leaders? What do you look out for? What do you tell them?
Well, telling them, it's one thing I think right now is AI. There is a concern about what is that challenge of AI going to look like, and certainly that's affecting the C-suite officers. So what is left after we have all of that additional technology to help guide us? We're left with what's often called soft skills, and soft skills are people skills. And people skills are really power skills, because that's something on a human scale you cannot substitute. So what are those? That's having gravitas, having likability, authenticity. You want people to kind of get to know you, but it's not the raw you, because as a C-suite executive, you really need to be able to be the face of your company, the voice of the company brand. And when you put those elements together, what you have ultimately is an aspirational leader, and everyone is attracted to that.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that. I mean, the question here is, does executive presence affect a company's valuation?
Well, according to the Stanford Business School, the answer is absolutely yes. They did extensive research in this regard, and what they found was a correlation between the price of an IPO, just for example, because that's something is visible and you can measure it, and the performance of that, in that case, the CEO on the road. And when they stripped out the content of what the CEO was actually saying, what were they left with? The tone of voice and the presence, the executive presence. And they found that the correlation between that body language and that attitude of the executive was really what made a difference in the monetization of that IPO.
Can you just share with us some techniques of an executive's presence that would really wow somebody?
The executives that we work with, by the time you are a C-suite officer, you're very accomplished in your core competencies. So what remains is really a confidence, a calmness, an ease to allow those leadership attributes to come forward so people can kind of get to know you even though they might not have ever met you in person.
How about improving yourself? What can you do to do that?
We start with a baseline, a SWOT analysis. So let's take a look together at what the executive's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are as it relates to that professional brand. Once you have that, then you can measure the progress against that. So some of the exercises would be, they're all customized because every executive is different. So what you want to do is simulate a real life situation. So you may do a mock Q&A, you do a role playing, physical exercises, because oftentimes what's forgotten are the optics. Many executives might not be aware that, wait, there's a camera, maybe there's 4 cameras and there's one behind me and there may be a hot mic. So there are a lot of situations that you might not necessarily be aware of, and it's part of the job of the coach to say, let's just come to terms with that so you're ready when the moment is ready for you.
And of course, we talk based on situations and different scenarios. And we also talk based on the industry sector. And my question here is, does the approach to communications coaching vary when it comes to industry sectors?
It doesn't hurt to be knowledgeable. For example, we do a lot of work in life sciences, pharmaceuticals, and also financial services, private equity. You want to be efficient, because that executive's time is very valuable. So the less time spent ramping up, even though it may be behind the scenes, the better for the value proposition to the executive coaching. That being said, they have more in common than they have differences. Because by the time you're in a situation where your face, your voice, your content, your presentation is really what is adding value to the firm and helping your stakeholders understand what you're about and why they should invest or why they should be a customer, then you're really thinking about how you are presenting. And so to be concise, to be able to take complex information and make it understandable to a range of stakeholders, that's what they have in common.
So for our audience watching right now who want to get into this, what is the time frame for executive coaching here?
What executives have the least of, the most scarce resource, is time. So what we like to do is say that you want to have a force multiplier. You want to be able to learn some skills and then be able to apply them in various situations. So a good coach will do most of the work behind the scenes, take an hour of the executive's time, maybe once a week, once every other week, for a period of, let's say, quarterly. This is a good way of looking at it. And therefore it becomes a pleasurable experience for the executive, that when they come to work with you, they're feeling like this is a good use of my limited time.
These tips, all this information, so educational and so important for everyone out there who is watching this. Donatella, thank you so much for joining us
My
here
pleasure.
on Asset TV.
Thank you.
And also, of course, providing us with some great insight on how to feel more confident and, of course, more media savvy. And I want to thank you for watching as well. I'm Michelle Yu. I'll see you next time here on Asset TV.